Today's Cinema Competition is on the red carpet of the European Film Awards 2018 in Seville, Spain, where we're going to meet some big names in the movie business. European filmmakers got together to celebrate for the 31st year the success of cinema and to award the best. A mutual topic was the feeling of unity in Europe and being able to be happy for the success of your colleagues.
Well, I think it is still not enough won, and I think we have some way to go. But it's absolutely necessary that we start to see us as one. If we want to have a chance as Europe in the world, we have to communicate, we have to stick together, and we have to take a step back from our own little worries and our own little things that we want to have and we want to defend. And, I think it's really time to move on and to open up and to see the greatness and the other as well as in us, and to come together.
How did your career change after Phantom Thread? That was a huge success.
It changed quite a bit. I mean, I have a lot of offers now from France, for instance, which is interesting. And it didn't change so much my way of doing things or the way I live. It didn't really change. But I get very nice scripts. Stop it! Whatever you do it carefully.
It's great to be here and to be part of this celebration of European film and an amazing array of film as well. There's always a sort of healthy balance, I think, to be found between European films and American films, if it's possible, and to travel between the two. That's certainly what I've been able to do in my work, and that's been very exciting for me.
What kind of stories do you want to tell?
I think just very human stories, a lot of contemporary stories, and if they are historical, their relevance for now and what's going on now. I think we live in extremely interesting times, and I think it's great to tell stories about it.
German actor Wlaschiha and Spanish actress Rossy De Palma were among the hosts of the ceremony.
I really like to work on international projects. It's just there's so many people from different countries, different languages. It's just something that I like, and I love European cinema. So I'll definitely will not forget about doing European cinema if they want me. That is. But of course, America is also interesting. So it's the mix that's interesting for me.
What character do you want to play now?
I don't have a particular character in mind because I've made the experience
that
if you know, possibly no uniform at all, none, no uniform. No, but I try to do different things. So, I mean, that's why I became an actor, to try out different things. So when I choose my parts, I try to do like something dramatic and then something light and then something dramatic again. So.
Yo soy más un artista social, con un trasfondo social. Cuando vemos una película y al final somos mejor personas o empatizamos mejor con los problemas de los demás a la salida del cine, me gusta eso. Cuando nos hace profundizar sobre el ser humano y aprender cosas y ser, por eso, más empáticos y mejores seres humanos, ¿no?
Rossy De Palma was not the only Spanish star present. Victoria Abril and Carmen Maura were also attending, and Maura received the Lifetime Achievement Award for her work over the years. The actress attended the European Awards ceremony 30 years ago for the first time when she won the prize for Best Actress for Pedro Almodóvar's Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Es que somos muy diferentes unos de otros, entonces que cada uno exprese lo que pasa en sus países, lo que pasa en sus familias, incluso echo de menos que no podamos aquí en la ceremonia, hablar cada uno en su idioma. Encuentro que no es justo que tengamos todos que hablar en inglés, sobre todo cuando no sabemos hablar inglés. O sea, no, pero a mí me gustaría que cada uno pudiera hablar en su idioma.
Fiennes received the European Achievement in World Cinema Award and impressed the audience with a moving speech.
When filmmakers acknowledge other filmmakers, you feel very honoured and gratified, I suppose, that your work, my work, I suppose, is being noticed. And that can only be a good feeling. It's a filmmakers event, and to be embraced by other filmmakers feels good. I think the European expression is quite complex and interesting, and I think the history of Europe is full of terrible things and great achievements, but I think we carry these scars of who we are very deeply, and that I think there's a great, it's maybe oversimplistic, but the essential impetus of European films is that they carry so many levels and layers and nuances, because there's a recognition that nothing is simple and nothing is straightforward, and that we've been through cycles of suffering and achievement, and the realization that we are imperfect people. And European cinema at its best seems to define the complexities of what it is to be human.
The Bulgarian nomination this year was Peter Krumov's short film Shame.
Как се чувствате?
Добре, страхотно.
Очакваш ли да спечелиш?
Защо не?
Какво ще стане, ако спечелиш? Представя ли си какво ще се промени?
Не, гледам да намисля за това. Ще видим. Какво такова?
Гледаме да не мислим, за да не се надяваме прекалено и след това да се разочароваме, но ще е много хубаво, ако спечелим.
Знаеш, че самото участие тук е достатъчен успех.
Which persuades me that you think almost as highly of...
The day of the ceremony, we meet one of the nominees for Best Actor, Rupert Everett. The British actor stars and directs the film The Happy Prince, where he plays Oscar Wilde.
I tried to write a role for myself to play. It was a good role. It was a good part. I'd done lots of Wilde before. It seemed like the right thing to try and create. Well, the most difficult part of the whole thing was, I suppose, writing him, writing the part, trying to make him realistic in the writing, to live up to his own way of speaking was a challenge, an exciting one. Putting the film together, getting the money really was the most difficult part, to be honest. I read the Richard Ellman book when I was very young, which was a very famous biography that came out, I think, in probably 1980 or something. And the last chapter of it very much inspired me. I loved the story of Wilde's exile. I don't think after that, I think the thing that was lucky for me, I had a very firm idea in my head of Oscar Wilde in that period. So the more I learned, the more my idea, in a way, of Wilde was confirmed. So I don't know whether there were any surprises after that. The surprise for me was just discovering about Oscar Wilde when I was a young man, really.
Yeah. Did you, I guess at some point, you must have found a lot of, parallel similarities between you and him. Did you have a time like that where you were identifying more or less?
I didn't really think of it like that, to be honest. I think he is, in one sense, definitely a patron saint for me, if that's what you mean. He's someone I admire and I find very inspiring, for the sacrifice, for the martyrdom of Wilde. I'm very inspired by. Parallels, no, I think I'm me and he's him. Everyone's an individual in their own right. Things are changing a lot, so I think we're living in a time where everybody has to be vigilant about situations like homophobia and racism and women's rights and all these things.
How do you think that can change?
Well, it's when populism gets out of control, and we've just moved into, just recently, this new phase of populism and nationalism and fear of the outside, and this is what happens. It's a little bit like the 1930s in Europe now. So you just have to, I don't know what the future, I don't have the answers to what we should be doing, except keeping going as artists and expressing the stories and telling them. Film is a very good medium for holding the mirror up to the world. And this film, in a way, is, even though it's a film about the past, is actually the story of homosexuality today in most of the planet. Show business is a very male heterosexual world on the whole, and there's a whole lot of unspoken rules within it. And even though in Europe, you know, homosexuality is an accepted thing. You don't see very many homosexual movie stars, and you don't see very many homosexual football stars or rock and roll stars, one or two.
And what does this nomination and potential award would mean to you and to the Happy Prince?
Well, it's always wonderful to have anybody recognise that you've done a good job. A lot of English actors, when they're young, go to the States to continue their careers. And I made a choice to go to Europe to continue mine. I moved to France in, 1985, and spent most of those years working in Europe and trying to figure out how to make a European film. And I feel that my film is really essentially a good European film. It speaks naturally in 3 European languages. It's made by European actors, European talent, European technicians, and about a person who is a European name, Oscar Wilde. So I feel that I've done my best in that way. I don't think anybody particularly noticed that it was a European film in a way until coming here.